Splatoon 3 competitive is in a pretty bad spot right now. There's been a lot of recent discussion about competitive being dead, and even if I'm a bit late to it, I want to use this new channel to give you my take on it as a former high/top level player and now mostly content creator. As you can see from the title, I want this to be a different perspective compared to Charo's video, with my own thoughts sprinkled in there. I want to paint the picture of how I think we got into this situation, because it definitely didn't happen over the span of a few days, weeks, or even months. We had this situation very slowly develop. I think overall it's not controversial to say that a lot of people feel like Splatoon 3 is a disappointment. A disappointment in the amount of content, with the example of third kits not being delivered, side order being good, but definitely a step down from Octo expansion, the competitive scene failing to feel any bigger than it did at the end of Splatoon 2, Europe's LAN scene dying out completely, no sponsors showing interest in the scene, with the ones that did being exposed as rug pulls, and some major community figures betraying us in our trust, like Jackpot. So let me explain why I think competitive is dying for now, and why that isn't really the end for our community, but should be motivating you. First, as you all know by now, there's no new content updates coming. No third kits, no maps, no new DLC, nothing. This is of course bad for the already decreased interest in Splatoon content on YouTube that is only naturally declining with the game's age. More directly concerning competitive is the impact those updates had on the meta of the game. Content updates, of course, in the combination with regular patch notes, were the easiest way to force meta development. New stuff to play and experiment with made the game feel fresh and interesting to viewers and players, and even if things weren't as you wanted right now, there was always the chance of a new weapon being released that would bring fresh air into comp building and change a lot of how the game is played. Of course, this isn't to say that all change is good change, but change usually is at least interesting. The second point I want to address is something you've maybe heard a few pro players proclaim recently. Top level sucks, mostly from a viewership perspective, but there's also something that can be said about the skill level overall. We have no teams. Right now, I can name you two, maybe three high/top level teams, like Lotus, the German team, which I know as a German, the newly founded EU team Vanguard, that has really clean looking branding, and Moonlight, the team that to me is the best example of how a team can brand themselves and form a fan base for itself that is not purely based on skill, but also on the personality of the players. What real incentive is there to form a team though? Create a team personality and branding? For what purpose? Wanting to get sponsored? By who? Forming a team is hard, and keeping a team together while trying to improve and balance competitive with other life obligations like school, college, work, family, friends, and other hobbies is very, very hard. It's way easier to search for a few other players on your level anytime you want to play a tournament or feel like doing a scrim. If I watch a tournament, all I see on screen are 8 names. It's the task of those 8 players to make me care about who will win, and this can only happen if I see a personality that I can root for. Otherwise, you're only a name on a screen. Pickup culture definitely has its pros and cons, and I could probably go on and ramble for an hour on this topic alone, but for now let's focus on other reasons. My final point on this is that I think a lot of pro players that have been around the community for 6, 8, or even 10 years are rethinking what they want from this game. Do you play for honor? Do you want to prove you're the best? Do you play for the attention? Do you play for fun? Or do you play for money? Which, of course, this is not the game to do that for. But anyway, most players that are at the top right now have been there for a long time. Someone like Ray has won everything outside of Japan and World Championship, so what really is there left to prove? What honor is left to be won? What attention is left to be won? Or even what money is left to be won? At the end of the day, none of us are making a living from playing this silly Squid game, so unleashing the full potential of competitive players with everyone practicing 8 hours a day will never be possible, with all of us working a job, going to school or college at the same time. How much time you can really afford to put into a game that you play for fun is something everyone has to answer for themselves. Moving on from this to a third reason. Tourney viewership isn't great. Some are proclaiming zones only is the issue, but I don't think so. Japan has been thriving on zones only for years now, and there's enough almost tournaments which in my eyes don't perform any better than zones only. I think that there was hope that with the new game, interest in competitive would grow automatically, but it seems like we failed to convert the already not much higher interest at the launch of the game into long-time fans. The number of competitive players and tournament numbers have been going up, but as Chara analyzed in this video, this results in the average number of participants going down since teams and viewers are being spread out over more events. I predict that the number of tournaments will naturally go down again when the TOs notice that the market is simply too saturated. Now let's get into something that I definitely play a part in as well: content creation. I know who are the best players at their weapon because I've been in the community for 7 years, but if I were to start now, I'd have a hard time trying to find them, or more importantly, find gameplay of them. If you're a high or top level player watching this, I beg you to upload your scrims and tourney runs to YouTube. Nobody goes to Twitch to look up Splatoon 3 Pro Stamper gameplay in top level scrim. Streaming your POV is a start, but it's just not enough. We need more gameplay, where pros explain their thought process, more scrims, more tourney runs, more guides, and more of what I created this channel for. Just giving your opinion. This is something I've been struggling with because I'm afraid of getting confronted for a bad opinion. If you're a pro player, tournament organizers, viewers, and other players care about what you have to say. And if you really like the game enough to play competitively, don't you enjoy talking about it? To inspire you a bit, I want to take a look at someone that used the dead phase of Splatoon 2 to become one of the most influential figures in our community today. The last weapons were added to Splatoon 2 with Sheldon's picks in April 2019. Chara didn't start uploading high-effort content until February 2021, after the Splatoon 3 reveal trailer. It should be of the highest priority for us to start laying the groundwork now, so that when Splatoon 4 inevitably comes around, we're prepared. To end the video, I want to say that I don't want to be all doom posty, and instead want this to be a positive outlook. I agree with the final message Chara gave in this video, but I want to stress how important it is that we as a community work on this if we wanted things to change. The message I want you to get from this video is simple. Splatoon 3 might be dead for now, but it's now on us to make the best out of the situation, and since we know the issues, actively work to fix them. Share your opinions now, because even if the growth might not be there now, we need to improve and develop those habits for when Splatoon 4 launches. Anyway, that's basically it. See ya.